Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about this kind of mirror thing that we can say it is here in life, right? Like inside and outside world, and also in general, how these things reflect who we are and how we can learn who we really are and how we really are on the inside, just judging from the way we behave or the way we talk, the things that we say. Because truth is that everything that you see on the outside, whatever reality you see, okay, we can have two people, like person A and person B, sat in one room, right? Or say one garden, right? And person A will have one experience of the garden, and then person B will have a different experience of the garden. And the difference will be that person A is, a positive thinking person, and person B is a negative thinking person, right? And so these two people, they will see completely different realities. The reason for that is basically their inner world, what they have inside, what they think, what's within them, right? The kind of information that they take in, the kind of, I don't know, films they watch, music they listen to, the kind of people and things they surround themselves with. So they literally take in all that stuff inside. And so then from that thing they sort of see the reality on the outside, right? And then for the other person, right? Say they surround themselves with, good, like healthy things, healthy people, reading God's word, growing, doing things that are important, right? And this way, they see the reality in a whole different way. And it literally reflects like how we see our lives, how we see the world, and also if we see any kind of opportunity, because any limits that people see for themselves are only set there to be by themselves. There is no limit for God, right? And people who believe in God, they know that there is no limit for God. There is maybe a way that God would do things that you may not even imagine, right? But there is nothing impossible for God. So you may have one expectation, but God will bring you something a lot better, But, or yeah, I mean, it's always like that. Like God may take you in a different direction, take you this to the same place, but maybe like put you on a bit of a different path, more like, and then you will see that it's actually a lot better this way, because God knows the best things, right? And so the reason, like the difference between the two people will be that one person literally has the limited mindset, right? Because the person themselves put themselves in this box, in these limitations, and they think like there's no other reality, there's no other way to do things. But then there's this other person who believes in God, and believes in, wonders and miracles, and they see possibilities, like endless, limitless possibilities. But more than that, they trust God. They trust in God, and they know that, of course, there's like, millions of possibilities, but the one that God has is the best, right? So all of these things, they come from the inside. So basically, this is very important thing to know, because a lot of people in this world, they are kind of in this negative mindset, in this limited mindset, and there is a reason for that, to be honest. It's not to blame, not to like bash people, right? Sorry about this. But more like to encourage, to tell you that all these limitations will literally, put on people ever since they were children by, their families, depending on the background they come from. So, say, in your family, no one's ever done anything that's different, that's like out of, normal, for example, something great, something huge, and so they will probably not see it, if like no one's ever done this and you like suddenly decide you're gonna do this, like no one's gonna really understand you, if you know what I mean, because it's the mindset. And if you have a different mindset, if God chose you to have a different mindset, to change something, to shift things around in your family, then there will be different perspectives on things, right? And so, but yeah, like a lot of it's been like this for generations. A lot of people were sort of stuck in this limited mindset. And not only is it in the families, but it's also kind of in the schools, in the surroundings, and the society, the governments. They just want you to keep you in this kind of way of living where you don't follow your purpose, where you don't grow spiritually, you don't develop spiritually, because with spiritual growth, come, things that are kind of inconsistent with the way that the society is structured right now. I hope this makes sense. And so these limitations then also come from, all the media, all the, news, all the like stuff that's around us. And they all kind of put the same narrative onto people into thinking like this is how life is. And it's very, uh, strict, like you can't do anything other than what you're told. You can't do anything other than the outside of the rules of the society, of the government. And a lot of people live in that mindset. Plus, the generational mindset that limits you. And so people are very, very sort of pushed to be so, I don't even know how to explain this, but like not free is the best word to say it. Like a lot of people are trapped where they are. And not only that, but also here is where the mirror comes in. So I already said that what you see on the outside is kind of reflects what's inside of you. So for example, if you have a problem in your life, whose fault do you think it is? Is it government's fault? Is it your parents' fault? Is it someone else's fault? Is it your friend's fault? Is it your brother's or sister's fault? Whose fault is that? Like, if you have some kind of a problem. And there are all kinds of problems, right? But what do? Do you blame others? Do you blame yourself? Like, how do you see the situation? How do you see things? See, is that nothing happens in your life for no reason. There is a reason for something, for the way that things happen in your life. There is a reason for everything. But it's not always like the physical world kind of reason. A lot of the times, and I mean all the time, it is a spiritual reason. because this life is a school. This life is not, just a playground, right? This life is a school. So we're here to grow, we're here to learn, and we're here to develop. And of course, you do enjoy the process, you do enjoy the great things and achievements and everything that you can do. However, there is a course in life that you take. There are things that you need to overcome, things that you need to achieve, things that God has in store for you. And whenever there is a problem, there is a reason that problem is there. So you need to overcome that problem. So it's not really anyone's fault. It's more like you are in that situation for something. There's something there for you. So instead of being negative, instead of seeing that in the negative light, do something about it. And more than doing something about it, go to God and ask Him, what do you do? How do you go about this situation? Ask for help. And, God doesn't always help you in the way that, He just gives you this green pass and you just pass through the gate and you're, free to go. Because there is a reason you are in this certain situation, right? So God will, of course, give you strength and wisdom and things, but to overcome the obstacles and things, it's you have to take the actions. You have to grow. You have to break, the cycle. For example, if there is a cycle that's been in your family for generations and you are going through the same cycle, you're going through the same kind of problem, you have to overcome it. And God will help you to do that, but you are the one taking the steps, right? Because you are the one living your life. And here's how it is. It's not about blaming anyone, really. It is your life, right? So you have to overcome things sometimes, and it is for your good. It is to grow you. So every time you overcome something, you grow. Every time you overcome something, there is achievement, prize, and things like that. So that's how it is. So it's not really anyone's fault. It's not really anyone to blame. Although there are factors that really work against you growing, the factors that contribute against your development. And these are the things that I mentioned. These are the Hollywood movies. These are popular music, things that sort of kind of invite you into the sin, right? Things that portray sin as something normal and something that we should tolerate, and things of that kind. But that is actually a trap from the devil, because when you are in sin, you are far from God. When you are in sin, you are stuck in cycles. You are stuck in that phase. So for you to grow, you need to get out of sin, because otherwise you are blocking yourself from your own development. And it's crucial. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they go through some kind of trauma when they're children. So they're traumatized by, I don't know, their parents' behavior, or something happens around them or at school, or there's so many ways children can get traumatized because of the way that society is right now. And so when children are traumatized, when a person is traumatized, they kind of tend to fall into sin, right? And then sin leads you away from God. And this is literally what the devil's been doing the whole time for generations with people. So the devil will traumatize you to shock you, to get you away from God. And also sort of tempt you and lure you into sin. So this way the devil is then in control. And also, they bombard you with all that media stuff, that Hollywood, those things. They're there to keep you away from God, to keep you away from your spiritual growth, to keep you away from things, from the amazing things that God has in store for you. So you need to break free from that. You need to break free from the devil, right? So, and by that I mean you need to quit sinning. You need to go to God and to go on your path, on your own personal, unique path that God has for you. And I mean, do you know that in the Bible there are so many miracles of things that people did, that God did in their lives, that were not normal, not what's normal in the society right now? For example, I don't remember how old she was, but there was this woman that God said, she was quite, she was like 80 years old. I may be wrong, but way past normal birth age, right? But God promised her, like, in some time you're going to have a child. And she even like laughed at it, like, really, me kind of thing. And she did have a child, they did have a child. So I mean, God did fulfill that promise, right? So it's, one of the things, right? Or how David defeated the Goliath, right? Like, all odds can be against you, but God has a way, right? And God did say, you're gonna win. So, and he did win, right? Because he had, rocks, a rock in his pocket, right? So, another example, Virgin Mary, right? She did conceive and gave birth as a virgin. So in like normal the society kind of things, that is not normal, right? That's not seen as norm. And so, but for God, these things are possible, raising people from the dead, doing wonders and miracles, right? There was always also this episode where who was it, when this person, he went to the place where people were unbelievers, right? And he was like, I'm gonna prove you that God is real. And they went and he asked God to start a fire, show them that you're the God, and God started the fire, right there. So I mean, it is amazing, but God is really like that. Like, God is really like that. He is amazing, and he's God of miracles. And it's sad that people are so sort of controlled and brainwashed, and they only see television. But television is actually so toxic and so bad for your soul. It's literally sucking your soul out. The whole society, the whole thing, the way that it is right now, it's sucking your soul out. You're not free. Your only real freedom is with God, is when he liberates you from all these chains. And by the chains I mean, all these limitations. And these limitations are actually demonic forces in the spiritual realm. And yeah, so going back to this mirror thing, right? So for people who see other people as problems, kind of need a mirror in front of them, right? Because when they have that mirror in front of them, they need to say that same thing again, the way that they blame others, and just look into the mirror. because a lot of the time what they say is actually what they're doing, right? And with narcissistic people, that's how it always is. With narcissistic people, they always use this reverse psychology. They always use this gaslighting and thing when they are the ones who are doing that's what's wrong. You know, narcissistic people are the ones projecting their own problems onto others. They blame other people for things that they themselves are doing. That's how it is because they cannot see a different reality. They cannot see different way of being, way of living. So the only way they can explain that the person is doing this or is behaving this way is only because that's all they know. You know, same for me, because I am an empath, okay? And before I knew what narcissists were, I was like confused. I really did not understand what narcissists are doing. Why? Because I only knew my own reality. I didn't know that there are people who see reality in the narcissistic kind of way, right? And so I would never understand why people are, you know, like confusing me or like, you know, saying things that are not even true or blaming me for the things that they do. All that, like I would never understand, and I would always try and explain and sort of reason, you know, because I was judging by myself, because I know how I am and I know that I wouldn't do things that way. I wouldn't say things that way, you know. And so this way was like a suffering cycle for me, you know, for a long time, because all I knew was my own reality until I learned that there are narcissists. I literally, you know, studied a lot of things and I learned how they work, how they operate. And this way now I know. Now I know that definitely not everyone is the same. Not everyone sees things in people the same way. And so, but that's the thing, you know, empaths are kind, right? So they have this kind nature and they see like the best in people, right? Despite anything, like despite your status, your money, your stuff, anything, you know, you value the person for who they are just because your value really comes from God, and God is the only one who can really judge you. So that's how a lot of people are. But with narcissists, it's the opposite, because they have so much darkness and hate within them that they project that darkness and hate onto others. And so they think that others are like that because that's all they know. So literally, they need to study that there are people like empaths. There are people who care